What's up, family? Yeah, we back with another video. My man's hadn't had a haircut in almost a year. So what I'm doing is I'm just grabbing the loose pieces here. So I've seen that he was a little bit thin. Basically just grabbing the loose pieces and taking it down with my clipper. That way I don't just go in with a guard and take it too low. Even if I did go in with a guard, it would be in a sense too nappy, too kinked up to even get my guards or my clipper through his hair. So basically just debulking right now. Basically just making the shape for the haircut that I'm about to do. You know, taking all of these loose ends and hair. Like I said, he hasn't had a haircut in almost a year, so just taking my time, you know, calmly debulking it. And right here, we're gonna start with the taper. Well, I'm not doing the taper, my bad, I'm sorry, guys. We're gonna start with my ball line. Excuse me. I'm gonna start with my ball line to start the fade. He said he wanted kind of a mid-low fade, so that's what we're doing here. Of course, going with the shape of the head always, you know, for each client, each fade is gonna be different, honestly, because everybody doesn't have the same shaped head, so. And remember, what we do to one side, we're just gonna go to the other side and basically do the same thing, same guideline all the way around. We don't wanna start it all the way from one side and go all the way to the other side because it'll kind of be uneven. Not always, but sometimes. So what I'm doing right here is taking my 1.5 guard and kind of just going up and debulking. That way I can see what I'm doing when I'm fading. If I would've just went and faded, I wouldn't be able to see like too much of anything, honestly. So yeah, still just debulking, taking most of this weight off with the 1.5, going kind of like straight up, like as if I was gonna do a high top, just to preserve some of the length. And I don't really know like what's underneath there yet, so you know, just taking 1.5 and basically making it so where I can fade going up in a clean transition. Let's get it. And what I'm doing now is just making sure I went over everything, make sure I got everything. You know, cleanliness is next to godliness, so I'm just going back over my work, making sure everything's, you know, pretty good. And I'm going down with the grain just to get a little bit of that corner. I don't know what to call it, but kind of where your head starts to turn and the curvature, just to get a little bit of it, since I went straight up with the clipper and we're not doing a high top for this haircut. So, and what you see me doing right now is still just kind of taking some of that weight off, getting that shape more down pat now that I'll have the sides off. And meanwhile, this client said he did want to go to waves, but I did, once I kind of got lower and lower towards his haircut, we kind of talked about it, that we were going to do more like a little bit of an afro, just a little bit longer the wavelength. He can honestly get waves if he, you know, brush hard enough, but you're going to see later with the thin spots, he's going to be good with it, bro. Basically is all I'm going to say. Right, what I'm doing now is kind of just like knocking the hair down still, as if I was doing it kind of like a man unit. And just making sure everything's pretty even. What I'm doing to still not debulking all the hair that's on top, making sure it's gonna go with the sides and make sure everything's pretty even, pretty round. And basically just taking my time to do this. This haircut wasn't really hard at all. It was just, you know, basically just you shaping it up because the hair is so thin and so and kind of balding, I guess you could say, that if I would have took a guard through his head, that he wouldn't have the preserve of the darkness of the hair. So that's why I went with this method and did it this way. As you can see, I'm still just shaping the fro, you know, shaping the haircut, make sure everything's gonna look good on top before I even go and finish my bald line and take all that stuff combing as I go, just making sure everything's, you know, nice and neat. If you're not brushing, you're combing, and if you're not combing, you're brushing. Making sure you're always brushing, combing, you know, basically placing the hair where it belongs. Because after not having a haircut, or even the wavers, their hair get molded down from brushing, or, you know, whatever. It's the same as if he had a nappy fro and he would go to pick it out. You do the same thing with the comb. And I'm still basically just taking my time, you know, making sure the shape is gonna go really good with the blend, because I don't really want to take the trimmers back through that part. Like I said, if I did, it's gonna get really thin. So basically I'm just taking my time and debulking all that. Now here you're gonna see me go with my guard all the way open to make that first, well, I guess you could say second guideline, to get rid of that ball line. And we're gonna basically go with the same line that we made the ball line with, just basically go up about a half an inch, about a finger worth, or two, depending on, you know, the shape of the fade. In the back, I always do take it up a little bit higher, since I kind of drop my fades. Depending on the head shape, of course, some everybody doesn't get like a drop, even if it is ball fade. I kind of drop it a little bit in the back, depending on, you know, the hair or the shape of the head. And then there you see me starting on the other side. Like I said, you never want to go all the way from one side all the way to the other. You know, use your mirror, because your mirror's not gonna lie to you. And then there you see me closing my guard halfway, just basically working that line out, guys. You see me playing with my lever. I think I just put it on the second notch. And as you can see, that line, it's starting to get out of there, guys. Basically just did some down fading. Gonna do the same on this side. So my lever halfway open. And as you can tell, even with the lever halfway open, it almost takes that guide line out. I just kind of lower it even some more, just to get it even more crispy, basically down faded from the guard open all the way to close, you know, one notch at a time. And now you see me going with my one with the guard open, making it a 1.5, basically just gonna down fade. And when you see me going down with the clipper, that's just so I can take some of the hair off and preserve some of that darkness. Like I say, he is kind of thinning on top, so you want to, you know, preserve everything that we can, basically. Even if that means not taking the fade up as high, or even, you know, not making it as, I guess you could say, crispy. Just to preserve that weight and that density on top, and even on the sides, you know, a little bit. We gotta do what we gotta do, you know. Sometimes in these haircuts, guys, you just gonna have to finesse it. Like, even if you don't get the most blurriest fade, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know, to make your client feel comfortable, to make him, you know, make him look good, you know. And not everyone can get the most blurriest, like blurred, sorry guys, the blurriest fades, you know. So everybody doesn't have that Instagram haircut. Now on this part, you're gonna see that I slowed it down. I got the hair fibers, and what I'm gonna do is just kind of fill in those thin spots where he's kind of balding at, and you see me taking my brush, and as if I was fading it, I'm just kind of moving those hair fibers around. Hair fibers are nothing really besides like hair, kind of like chewed up, I guess you could say, really thin, and basically hair fibers, like it's called. So I slowed this part down for you guys. As you can see, I'm brushing as I'm going. That way, with the brushing, what it does is kind of just makes it look more natural. Like you see, when I put it in there, it's like really, really dark, but when I brush, it spreads the hair fibers around, just making it a little bit more natural, you know. All right, guys, I'm just gonna shut up and let you guys watch this. If you guys ever want me to do like another video on like covering it, even if I have to go like slower or whatever you need me to do, even if it's on this client or a different client, just comment below and I'll definitely make another video. I have a lot of videos in store for you guys. Just like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on those post notifications for more. And just stay tuned in, family. Let's get it. I'm basically just like looking over my work, making sure everything's good. Cleanliness is next to godliness. So I just always like to triple check my work. I guess you could say I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I'm always triple checking, quadruple checking. Like, bruh, I check probably 10 times in the haircut before I'm done. Like, I'm really, when I'm done with the haircut, I'm done with the haircut maybe 10, 15 minutes before I'm actually done. The last touches is basically just, finishing up. And what you see me do was I went and with the Got2b glue just to freeze all those hair fibers in place. And then we're gonna start with the lineup. Keeping it natural as possible. I know you guys did see that side, on this side where on his temple area and his lining area, where he doesn't have any, like too much hair right there. It is a little bit hair. But I asked him if he wanted hair fibers like up in the front. And since we decided, since he has so, many thin spots in the back and on top, that he wants to leave the front a little bit natural with no hair fibers or no beam or like anything like that, just so it looks as natural as possible, man. Like that's the goal when using enhancements, is you want everything to look as natural as possible, as if it's his hair. You don't ever want somebody to be looking at your client, or your client looking at themselves in the mirror and they're like, gosh, man, what is this? So what we're doing right now is just doing the facial hair, lining them up. And remember, what we do on one side, we do to the other. And then always brush the facial hair down, or whatever way it grows. You have to brush it or comb it with that way. That way, when you do line up the mustache, you get all the overhanging hairs, everything like that. You never want to give someone a haircut and then they go home, brush their beard or comb their beard or brush their hair, and then they have hairs just everywhere and it's not a fresh lineup anymore. That's like the worst thing you could do to a client, because I guarantee you give someone a haircut and it only lasts a day or two, they're not, well, they might come back, but they're not going to be sitting in your chair for long once they find somebody that can give them a haircut that actually, lasts. So right here, me and my client was just talking. He was telling me like, man, this looks good. He hadn't even looked at the mirror yet, but he was just, feeling his hair. And then he looks in the mirror, and I'm just explaining everything that I did to him, the aftercare and the things that he would need to do, And man, that's pretty much it. That's the end of this haircut. And I can honestly say he loved it, man. Like, man, throughout the haircut, he kept telling me like, man, you're a great barber, And it's people like this that really, help us out, For one, you guys pay our bills. For two, boost self-confidence, self-esteem. And it helps me to feel good that I'm helping other people change their life, Like, I boost people's self-esteem, their confidence, everything, man. So till next one.